Hello guys, welcome back to the revision session. And you know very well, we are in paper 2, UGC Net 2025, and we are doing revision for social work. We are in unit 4, okay, and we are studying community organization and social work. Okay, so in that within the social work we are going to study the social movements, their origin and nature. Okay, you remember in unit 4 this is the last lecture we are going to see. Okay, with this we will be completing the revision for unit 4. Right, so what we are studying in this session, we are studying social movements, their origin and nature. Okay, so briefly we are going to see the aspects of social movements, their origin and nature. In part 2, we are going to see the types of social movements. In part 3, we are going to see theories of social movements. Part 4, new social movements. And in part 5, we are going to see the conclusion. Okay. So first, we will see the social movements and the origin and nature. You see, if you see the origin of social movements, historical roots are therein. Social movements are often arising or they arise during periods of social, political and economic instability. What are the three types of instabilities? Social, political and economic. Okay, so whenever there are instabilities in any of these three arenas, the social movements will arise. Okay, right. You see, these movements are a response to grievances, oppressions, and injustices faced by a group or a community. Okay? So several examples are there. Maybe the anti-liquor movement or maybe the any movement you take. Okay, so they have origin in one or more than these more than one of these aspects. The problems are there, and people are experiencing oppression, or they have several grievances or injustices by a particular group or a community. So in these aspects, the roots of social movements are there. And there are global and local factors also there. You see, social movements may be influenced by broader global phenomenon. Okay, for example, if you take that global capitalism, environmental crisis like climate change, loss of biodiversity, etc. Okay, the reasons can be global or the reasons can be local, such as social movements can also be influenced by more local issues. For example, land rights. Example is national movement in our country. Okay, national movement in our country. Best example for land rights. Then caste discrimination. For that reason, you can see the Dalit movement that have been started. Then based on gender discrimination, you see feminism movements. Okay, so in this way, local, of course, the feminist movement is a more global factor than a local factor. Okay, so in this way you can see the origin of the movement, global and local factors also. If you see the important characteristics of social movements, right? What are the important characteristic features of the social movements? First one is collective action. There will be a collective action. Okay, you see they are collective in nature. The social movements are collective in nature, involving a group of people working towards a common cause. Okay, so this is we were seeing in all the aspects that we have seen previously also. Social group, okay, community organization, etc. All these things we are seeing. Okay, that is the first characteristic feature, that is collective action. Second one is it is change oriented, means social movements are change oriented. You see, the primary objective is of the social movements is to initiate, prevent, or resist social injustice. Okay, sorry, social change. Okay, so this is what change oriented means. And the third key feature is ideological basis, means it will be having an ideological basis. Okay, so in the previous session we have studied several ideologies which were influencing the social movements. Right, you see, movements often guided by specific ideology. Maybe it is Gandhian ideology, maybe it is Marxist ideology, etc. Anything it okay. It is guided by specific ideology or values that define their objective. So based on the objective or based on the ideology or value, the movement is depending on the objectives will come out. Okay. And another important feature of social movement is, you see, they are long-term in long-term in nature, or they are long-term oriented struggles. They are not for short term. Okay. You see, social movements may not always yield immediate results. They have to sustain the movement for a very, very long time. Okay. But they persist in their effort over time. Best example is, I will not take any other example, but I will take the NBA, Narmada Bachao Andolan. So the movement was there for more than 20 plus years. Okay, similarly, to take any famous movement, it is a long-term oriented. They are long-term oriented movements. Maybe the Dalit movement, maybe the feminist movement. Any movement you take, it is long-term oriented. Okay. Now we'll understand the types of social movements. Okay. So types of social movements are, first kind of or type of social movements can be categorized as a reform movements. Right. What is the goal of these reform movements? You see, goal is to bring about gradually social or political or economic changes within the existing structures. Okay. These are known as reform movements. This is the goal of reform movements. Examples are civil rights movement of United States of America against racism. Then women's suffrage movement means voting rights, full voting rights to women. That are seen in the United States of America, even in France, etc. Earlier in Europe, you have seen the women's suffrage movements. Okay. Second category or type of movements are revolutionary movements. Right. What is the goal of these movements? You see, the goal of these movements is to overturn existing systems and create a new system or new order. These are called as revolutionary movements. Okay. Best examples are there. Examples are Russian Revolution of 1917 and Chinese Revolution of 1947 or 1948, around the Russian Revolution has taken place. These are examples of revolutionary movements. Okay, you can take the French Revolution also. Okay, French Revolution is also the best example. Then American Civil War also. All these are examples of revolutionary movements. Then third example is redemptive movements. Okay, what is the goal of these movements? Redemptive movements. You see, the goal is to bring about radical change in individuals' lives and personal transformation. That is redemptive movements. You see, the movements focus on change of the individual himself or herself. The emphasis is on self, individual, to bring change in the individual or to radical transformation in the individual. Okay. These religious examples are religious movements like the evangelical movement in Europe. In our country, there is a period called as socio-religious reform movement period. Plenty of examples are there. Okay, Brahmo Samaj, Arya Samaj. Okay, then Henry Vivian Derozio. So Derosian movement is there. Like that, several movements are there in our history also, in our own history. So these are examples of redemptive movements. Okay. Then another type of movements are alternative movements. What is the goal of these movements? The goal of these movements is to change specific behaviors or individual aspects of life. Okay. So this is usually on a smaller scale, not on a radical scale or not on a bigger scale. Okay. Examples are anti-smoking campaigns, yoga and wellness movements. These are examples of alternative movements. Okay. And finally, another type of movement is resistance or reactionary movements. What are the goals of these movements? The goals are to oppose specific societal changes. Okay. And or to return to an earlier state of society. This is the meaning or symbol of resistance or reactionary movements. Examples are anti-globalization movements, religious fundamentalist movements. Okay, these are examples of resistance or reactionary movements. Okay, means they most of the time they will try to set the clock back. Okay, right. That is why they are called as resistance or reactionary movement. Now we will see briefly the theories of social movements. Okay. Right. So in that, first we will understand the classical theories of social movements, then we will come to the new age movements. Okay. So classical theories of social movements are, first one is relative deprivation theory. Right. This very important theory, relative deprivation theory, very important theory. This also explains the movements that are there in our country, like regional movements, then communal movements or communal violence also is explained by relative deprivation. Okay. So what this theory says, this theory argues that social movements emerge when individuals or groups feel that they are deprived relative to others. Best example, I will take Telangana movement. Why there is Telangana movement? Telangana, because of the thing that feeling that relative deprivation, that people of Telangana are relatively deprived when compared to the people of Coastal Andhra Pradesh and elsewhere. Okay. So examples are the French Revolution, where economic hardship created widespread disaffection among the common people. Okay. This is deprivation theory. Second one is mass society theory. What it is? It suggests that alienation and a lack of belonging in modern industrial societies lead people to join social movements. Okay, so alienation due to the industrial revolution and that separation of certain communities from rest of the society. So this will lead to people joining in one movement or the other to get a sense of belongingness. Okay, examples are youth movements in industrialized nations. Okay. Another important theory is classical theory, is structural strain theory. What the theory focuses on? The theory focuses on social instability and discontent within the society that creates opportunities for social movements to arise. Okay. So what are the examples? Examples are the labor movements during industrial revolutions. Okay. So these are structural strength. Okay. These are some of the examples of classical theories of social movements. Now we will see the modern theories of social movements. Okay. Right. So first one is resource mobilization theory. Right. So what this theory emphasizes on? The theory emphasizes on. Right. So the theory emphasizes. The theory emphasizes. Right. The theory emphasizes the importance of resources, money, time, leadership in the success of social movements. Okay, resource mobilization theory emphasizes the importance of resources like money, time, and leadership in the success of social movements. It argues that social movements are strategic and social movements are strategic and they rely on mobilizing available resources for effective organization. Okay. Examples are the civil rights movement in the United States of America, which strategically mobilized financial, human, and organizational resources. Okay. So that is resource mobilization theory. Then the second one is political process theory. Right. This theory, political process theory, focuses on the political context in which movements operate, including the opportunities for social movements to access political power. Okay. So examples are environmental movements gaining prominence during the specific political climates. Examples: the rise of Green Party in Europe, okay, and Tea Party in the United States of America. So these are the examples of political process. Okay, and finally another modern theory is framing theory. Right, this theory suggests that social movements frame issues in a way, in ways that resonate with the public, which helps to mobilize the support and create collective action. Examples are Me Too movement, which rocked the world like anything. Okay, Me Too movement. It framed gender inequality as a pervasive societal issue. Okay, so these are the examples of, or these are the examples for modern theories of social movements. Right. Now we will see new social movements. In essence, also we will. Okay. What are the new social movements? You see, new social movements emerged in the late 20th century. Okay, particularly after the 1960s. Right. These movements are characterized by they focus on identity, culture, individual rights, and global issues. Right. So features of these new social movements are, first of all, these are identity-based issues or movements. Right. You see, focus is on identity-based issues such as gender, race, sexuality, and ethnicity. Okay, for sexuality, you can take the example of transgender people or same-sex this group of people. Based on race also, based on gender also, like you can take the example of feminist movement, etc. Okay, and another feature is their concerns are global in nature predominantly. You see, the issues are concerned with, or movements are concerned with globalization, global issues like globalization, environmental issues like climate change, global warming, biodiversity laws, and aspects like human rights. Okay, and the means are non-violent. Okay, right. So they tend to use non-violent means like protests, sittings, and online activism. This is another important feature. And final feature is they have an organizational structure. You see, they are less hierarchical and more decentralized in nature. Okay, so these are the features of new social movements. Some examples we will consider the examples of new social movements. First one is the feminist movement. You see, this movement is advocacy for women's rights, gender equality, and combating patriarchal structures that are there within the societies. Okay, and another example is environmental movements. Right, they focus on issues like climate change, sustainability, ecological justice, etc. Okay, the best example is Extinction Rebellion that has taken place 2000s, especially after 2010. Extinction Rebellion. Right. Then LGBTQ plus rights movement. This is also an important movement. Right. The movement advocates for rights of sexual minorities. Okay. Several people are there. Okay, lesbians, gay people. Okay, bisexual people, transgenders are there, queers are there, etc. So these people are sexual minorities, and the movement is for advocating rights of these people. Okay, examples are Stonewall Rights, Pride Paradise, etc. These are examples of LGBTQ plus rights movements. Then finally, another example is global justice movement. It is a resistance to global capitalism, exploitation, and inequality. Okay, so examples are anti-globalization protests. Okay, so these are the examples of new social movements. So, if you see a conclusion from this topic, how we can conclude, you see, social movements are powerful forces for social change. Okay, that you have to agree. They are powerful forces for social change. Then they are driven by collective action, ideological beliefs, and a desire to challenge unjust systems. That is their importance. And understanding the types and theories and the modern trends in social movements enables social workers and activists to engage effectively in transformational change. And finally, the new age social movements, with their emphasis on individual rights, cultural identity, and global justice, represent a shift in the way contemporary societies are challenging structures of power and identity. Okay, so this is how we can conclude this topic of social models of social. Okay, so this is it for this lecture, and with this we will be completing the social action part also, and we will be completing unit 4. Okay, so from next lecture onwards we will start unit 5, that is research activity we are going to study. Okay, so social research also is very important, or research to social work also very important. That chapter is also very important, and from next class we are going to revise that. Okay, right. This is it for today, and see you next time. Until then, have